Hello my loves, welcome back to Lavendaire. It's Aileen. Today I wanted to do a review of all of my current me versus future me exercises. It's officially been over 10 years since I started doing this exercise every single year. So I just thought it'd be like a perfect time to review everything and show you my growth throughout the years. So if you don't know about this exercise, a lot of you should know by now if you follow Lavendaire for a while, but it's an exercise that I put in the Artist of Life workbook where there's 2 pages. On one side, you draw your current self, all your feelings, what your life looks like, the struggles you're going through, and then on the other side, you draw your future self, your ideal future self that you want to become. So this is like a visual way to kind of dream up your goals. Who do you want to become in the future? What do you want to feel in your life? What do you want your new life to look like? And I found that if I go back and look at the future me that I used to dream up and want to become is very similar to the me that I am now. So that's the beauty of this exercise. You can see like how far you've come and that you've actually achieved some of your dreams, if not all of them. So let's go back to 2012. Man, that was a decade ago. I can't believe it. So before I came out with a workbook, I used to do my current me versus future me every year in this black notebook. I also use this notebook to do monthly highlights, which is a concept that I now transferred over into the Artist of Life workbook. But let's go over what I drew in March 12th, 2012. Wow. And you can see I did this at 6:46 a.m. I think that was me when my sleep schedule was crazy. I probably stayed up until that time. I wouldn't wake up that early. It was the other way around where I have not slept yet. So this is kind of like one of the worst years of my life. I was very lost, very, I would say, depressed. I was burnt out from school and life. My thinking was messy. I was flaking on friends. I've talked about this like era of my life in previous videos, but it was just not cute. It was very, very difficult, such a struggle. And I just decided to doodle like how I felt right now, all of my struggles, everything I'm confused about. And then on the other side, I decided to doodle like who I really wanted to be. And this is the birth of current me versus future me. I'm not gonna go into detail because it's gonna take way too long to show you everything, but some things I do wanna point out is on the top left, I've left my distinct mark on this world and in history. I really wanted to do something meaningful and impactful, and I didn't know how. And I can finally say that now, like it says here, like I understand me and my purpose. I'm at a place where I feel like I understand my purpose. I feel like I'm doing something positive. I'm making some kind of mark in my own way, right? And I'm proud of that. All of these things, I really feel like I can relate to what's here on the future self part. And to give you perspective, back then this felt impossible. Like back then, this was so far from my reality. As you can see, the current self is the reality and the future self is like the dreamy, ideal self. Moving on to the following year, 2013. So I felt a little bit more confident. I was heavily pursuing music during this time. I wrote, still got that lazy factor. I never go to the gym. It says right here, I woke up at 7 p.m. today, WTF. I slept at 11 a.m. Why? Yeah, so this is, I'm still having that like really crazy sleep schedule. But the positives is music was bringing some like passion back into my life. This is the era where I was really singing and performing a lot. Even though I didn't know what I was doing with my life, I just chose like, okay, music, I'm gonna try it, give it my all. And that's the era that I really was in. I can see on the future me section, I wrote happy and successful with multiple streams of income. Back then I was pursuing like hosting, producing. I was like, should I be a singer, entertainer, and a business savvy entrepreneur? I know it sounds like a lot of things because I was lost. I was literally exploring all avenues, but at the same time, I can see how a lot of this literally applies to what I do now. Like I wasn't doing YouTube the way I'm doing YouTube now. And now I do have multiple streams of income. I do get to, be on camera, be a host in a way. I do get to produce content in a way. And I am an entrepreneur. So let's move on to 2014. Oof. As you can see, my hair was blonde in 2014. So this is the year I started Lavendaire, but I actually drew this before I started Lavendaire, maybe a couple months before, in February 2014. So at the time, I was producing videos and doing marketing for a food festival. It says prototyping mantra. I had this stint where I thought I could be like a tech entrepreneur and make this app about like organizing mantras and affirmations. I was doing a lot of learning and reading, trying to code, not there yet. Yeah, that didn't get very far. Honestly, the future me part doesn't change too much every year. I feel like I've always wanted these like big picture things, like to be creative, to be an entrepreneur, to be surrounded by love, like all these good things, all the like confidence, healthy and fit, all this stuff. But I still like to do this exercise every year because the way I describe it and maybe what I emphasize is different each year. But just reading this, like it just sounds so similar to what I do now. Like every year you just get closer and closer to your dreams. Moving on to 2015, this is like my worst drawing of myself ever. My drawing is not that great, but this is like my least favorite one. But this is when I was Lavendaire focused. Oh, I read that book, The Slight Edge, and I started getting more disciplined with my habits like morning pages, meditation, exercise. I was super about like this concept of consistency, patience, and perseverance. If you go back to my videos in 2015, I really talk about that as a theme because it was the first time I was like, okay, I started this new YouTube channel. Let me like just commit and stay really disciplined to seeing it through, because everything that I did before, like music and all the other stuff, I was very like wishy-washy and inconsistent with it. I started to take my life more seriously. Like, let's actually try to do something here. If I look at what I wanted back then, I wanted to be a lifestyle vlogger, personality, creative entrepreneur, freelance travel host, musician, and artist, always jumping on creative side projects. I feel like I'm doing half of that now, but to be honest, the music and creative side project side has really not been that active. It really is just like my hobby for my own passion. But at the time, like I wanted to do everything. I was pursuing both Lavendaire and music. Now for the 2016 drawing, I would say this one's the most minimalist. I didn't go too detailed with this, but in general, I was doing Lavendaire full force now. And the big question here was like, how do I make money with this? So as you can see, 2 years in, I was still figuring out how to make money. Minimalism. That was the era of minimalism, decluttering, tidying my life. Also green smoothies. I was so into green smoothies that year. So as you can see, I was like picking back up with like my health, my habits, and decluttering really gave me so much like such a refreshing reset that I needed in my life. Again, on the future me side, I don't feel like there's anything that new that I could share. I don't want to bore you guys with my same goals and dreams every single year. One thing that I have not yet achieved that I will admit is right here, I wrote book tours. Like I really wanted to write a book and do like a book tour. Still have not done that. That's still on my list, still on my goals. Moving on next to 2017. As you can see, this is my workbook from 2017. It's kind of falling apart a little bit. You can tell the quality and the size itself is so different than the workbook that we have now because we've improved it year after year. This is such a precious journal for me. 2017, ooh, I wrote 2017 is my year. Confident, focused on growing, ooh, momentum in Lavendaire, positively impacting others and making a difference, lots of ideas. Ooh, so I can feel the energy is definitely happier. Like if you went from 2012 to 2017, there was like a big major change over those years. What I wrote at the top for future me was balanced and peaceful, free, no worries, financial freedom, creative freedom, location freedom, time freedom. If you watched my video on how to find your why, you know that these freedoms were really important to me. I set this as my goal to like be able to find this freedom or achieve this freedom in my life. I feel like that has not changed and I have been able to achieve more of this. Moving on to 2018. I still really love this version of the workbook. It's so pretty. So 2018, I kind of wrote my stats here, kind of like where Lavendaire is right now. Ooh, during this time, we had like this Artist of Life mastermind where I did like monthly live calls in Facebook groups. Nobody uses Facebook anymore. Oh, this is such a fun year. Honestly, 2018 was like a fun year because I moved into a new apartment with Wilson. We had a lot of hangouts with our friends. I don't know, it just felt like a very lively and exciting year. I wrote here, I have my dream equipment. iMac, cameras, mics, lighting. I have everything I need to create. This is the point in my journey where I felt like I was making enough money to like spend on a new computer and a new camera. And like, I felt like I was finally able to equip myself with everything I wanted in my dream setup to make YouTube videos. And that was a big deal for me because, you know, when you are not making money and you're figuring things out, you're just trying to like get by on a budget with spending as little as possible. I couldn't even afford like using Adobe Premiere or like paying for Photoshop. These were the like scrappy years where you just had to figure it out with what you had. And then by 2018, I was like, ooh, I can afford to like get Adobe now. I can afford to level things up. And that was really exciting for me as a creative. Looking at the future me side, I feel like I've achieved a lot of these things. For example, a team with a streamlined system. I feel like this year is the first year I finally felt confident with the team with Lavendaire and how streamlined things are, because now we finally have like the right people in the right spaces and I'm able to delegate a lot more, which frees up a lot of my time. Right here I wrote coming out with a book and new products. I mentioned I have not done the book, but I have come out with a lot of new products. Another thing that I can relate to this year is I wrote confident speaker, well-spoken with dazzling stage presence and charisma. I spoke at a couple events this year, like a conference and a women's panel, and I just felt so confident speaking on stage. I was like, wow, I've practiced up until this point that I can be confident and speak on stage. Because if you go to college, I was so afraid of public speaking. There was like a business speaking class that I took in college, and I think I got like a C in that class because I was just terrible and shy. And look at me now. I'm like, I'm just proud of how far I've grown. Moving on, let's check out 2019's drawings. So current me, future me. I remember doing this on the plane as I was traveling in Australia. 2019, I proclaimed that as my travel year. I moved back home from that apartment because I didn't want to pay rent because I was like, I'm gonna travel a lot this year, so I'm not gonna pay rent. I'm just gonna use that money to travel, which is what I did. And I wrote here, I love my life. I'm happy with my life. I'm proud of what I've created. Traveling this year, I have my dream things. Oh, I bought my dream car. I think at this point, all I wanted to do was continue the momentum of like growth with Lavendaire and the business. And each year I keep writing my book, but it has not happened. So you know what? Even I write things on my to-do list like 100 times before I actually do it, which it's okay. It's normal and it's natural. I accept it. I acknowledge it. I did write here more effective time management and planning skills, like learning to be better at batching my work. That was something I was still working on. Because this is more recent, I do see some things that I have yet to achieve. They're still on my goals list, which is totally fine. One thing that I have learned about myself is I am not the best at figuring out like the timeline of my goals. Like I'll set a goal and I think, okay, this goal will take me 1 year to achieve, but it actually takes me 2. Like I always find that my goals take much longer than I think to achieve, but eventually I do achieve it. It's just the timeline is sometimes out of my control. Moving on, here we have 2020. I also absolutely love this version because it's lavender and I love this shade. It's so gorgeous. Wow, I did this one in December 2019. That means I was on top of it this year because I literally did it before the new year. Sometimes I do it like this year I did it in March. To be honest, 2022, I have yet to do it. I might do it like today or sometime soon before the year ends. So I wrote here, this year was a lot of healing, lots of self-reflection, self-worth work, learning about myself and my past, rewiring my mindset. Healing was a big theme of 2019. travel, and healing. I love this lesson that I learned in 2019, understanding yin and yang, the seasons of life, accepting that, we go through phases. Sometimes life is like, it's going fast, sometimes it slows down, and just don't be impatient, don't rush anything, just like trust in the process. It was definitely a slower year, and it was a humbling year because I had to do so much unexpected healing work. On the future me side, I wrote, sparkling with joy, light, and love. My mind is clear and at peace, focused and in flow with my creativity and work. That's still something that I set my intention to become, just always being in flow and letting my creativity flow. I love what I wrote here is this new affirmation. I have enough time. I can take my time. No rush. Completely trusting in the universe. This was me working really hard to release that inner expectation to achieve and be productive and be go, go, go all the time. I was learning to detach my self-worth from my productivity and my achievements and my external success. And that's why you saw those themes in my videos in the past few years. It really started around this time, which was 2019, 2020, to start living in flow and to start taking my time and trusting, I don't have to rush. I don't have to push myself. I don't have to prove myself, right? I don't have to try and things will still get done. There's a shift in energy from being fast and trying to achieve all these goals super fast. Finally, moving on to 2021. Also love this color. It matches my outfit today. Oh, I wrote here, Togi is always here. So Togi came into my life this year. Ooh, I wrote transition period, do less, release ego and self-importance. What am I without Lavendaire? Finding worth and strength within, spirituality. So continued from the previous one, you can see how I've kind of entered in a different period of my life. The energy has shifted. I'm trying to be more, detached, in tune. I think we were still heavily going through pandemic lockdowns. So I wrote, can't wait to travel again. I miss and crave adventure. Ooh, learning how to let go of obligation to post and grow consistently. Let it flow naturally with ease. I don't need this pressure. So much work on releasing this pressure I put on myself to consistently post and literally being a content creator. That hamster wheel of never ending creation it got to me. I burnt out, and then I had to go slower and heal and do all that inner work. So this reflects that. And so what I wanted as my future self was just at peace. And I wrote here, Queen of Wands energy. I really relate to the Queen of Wands, which is a tarot card about creativity and intuition. I love this. I create from my joy and inspiration. My life is beautiful and abundant, and I deeply appreciate its transience. Operating completely in flow and at ease. You can see the kind of energy that I'm trying to bring into my life is easy, creative, intuitive. I drew myself with these sparkles around me. I put dazzling, supported, joyful, loving, happy, grounded, beautiful. I put a lot of affirmations here. There were some years where I literally put goals and I put I want to hit 1 million subscribers, I want to hit this much sales or this much money I want to make per year. But this one, all I put are the affirmations and the values that I want to live by. I wrote, I am beneath no one and superior to no one. I am fearless in the face of any and all challenges. I am independent of good or bad opinions of others. I was really trying to detach what other people thought of me. I was just trying to be whole as myself, all about that self-worth, untouchable self-worth. Living in a beautiful, well-designed and tidy, organized space. So some of these things I'm still working on, but I'm making progress. And I mentioned I did not get to do my current me versus future me this year. I like to do it in private, so I'm not gonna do it in the video. But I do plan to make a reflection video reflecting on 2022. So you can expect to see that video in a couple weeks. So you can reflect on your year with me and kind of hear all the lessons that I've learned learned in the past year. But for now, like, comment down below if you ever tried the current me versus future me exercise. If you have done it in the past, let me know down below what is one thing that came true from a previous current me versus future me drawing. Like, I love when I see things come true and become reality, because this is essentially like visualizing and manifesting your dream life. One post that I saw on Instagram that was really sweet was this woman posted, like, she drew her current me and then future me, and the future me had like a pregnant body, and then the next slide was her pregnant. So she dreamed to be pregnant, and then she became pregnant and is having a baby. So I thought that was so beautiful. So if you have any stories or updates that you'd like to share, I'd love to read them down below. Again, you can check out this year's Artist of Life workbook on my shop at shop.lavendaire.com. I'll leave the link down below as well. Sending you so much love, and I cannot wait to come out with more New Year content for you guys coming very soon. I'll see you then. Bye.